Hello, Lions. It's Mr. Bates back with episode 2 of Candid Conversations. And I have here
Miss Shain.
Miss Shain. How long you been at King?
This is my second year at King. I was Miss Rivera last year for some of my kids.
Okay, so not Miss Rivera anymore. She's Mrs. Shain. She went back to her maiden name. I brought Miss Shain on today to talk about how she uses building relationships to get student engagement in her classroom. All right, so you want to share a little bit about, some of the things you do in your classroom, like how you build those relationships and why do you feel that's so important?
Yeah, I mean, my number one philosophy as a teacher, I think, is the philosophy of they can't Maslow until they've bloomed. And we all know of Bloom's taxonomy. We know what Maslow is. We've talked about that in our professional development courses a lot. And I'm a huge believer of that. If kids don't feel safe in your classroom, if kids don't feel welcome in your classroom, if kids don't feel happy in your classroom, they're not going to perform for you in the way that you're expecting them to. They're not going to reach that level of expectation that you have for them. So I make it a priority my first couple of weeks of school every year to really build those relationships with kids, get to know them. We do interest inventories. We do things to really just develop that relationship so that they know that I'm in their corner and I'm here for them from the get-go. And so I found that 9 times out of 10 makes it much easier to be able to get them to do the things that I need them to do to perform at a level that I'm expecting them to perform at.
Yeah, that's crazy because just listening at what you're saying, you're doing much more than building relationships, though.
Yeah.
You're also setting structure.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean, for your classroom.
And I'm a super organized person anyway, and my kids really, I start off the year letting them get to know all about me, too, and how I operate my classroom and how I like things to be done, because I feel like they thrive off of that.
Right.
They like to have that routine and structure in place, even though they say they don't, even though they might fight you on it at first. They like having that consistency. And I feel like having that consistency in your classroom is key to keeping them doing what they're supposed to be doing and keeping them on track throughout the year.
And setting those expectations so when the kid enters your classroom, they know exactly what to expect.
There's no questions there.
And I can tell you a challenging school like King, because we do have a somewhat challenging population. These kids need procedures.
Absolutely.
Because if we just give them that leeway to get up and go to the garbage can or, get out their seat anytime they want to, a lot of these kids will take advantage of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that consistency is key there. So they know that from the minute they walk in my door to the minute that bell rings and they leave my classroom, what's expected of them and what the consequences or rewards would be. So you do what you're supposed to do, you get rewarded. You don't do what you're supposed to do, there's a consequence. So I always tell them you're free to choose, but you're not free from the consequence of your choice.
All right, so let's talk about that tough kid, though. You know what I mean? That kid that doesn't really trust teachers. They haven't had a lot of great experiences in their middle school or even here. How do you break barriers with that type of kid? Like, what do you do?
Well, I seem to be a magnet for those type of kids. I feel like those kids really draw to me. If you come into any of my third period, you'll see one of my students just kind of at my hip throughout the entire class period. So with those kids in particular, while we do have procedures and we do have routines and we do have things that keep them in place in the classroom, I show those kids a little bit of grace. So those might be the ones at the beginning of the year I pull out in the hallway and I have those one-on-one conversations with them and I find out what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And I alter things slightly for them. It makes them feel special, it makes them feel heard, and it lets them know that you're here for them. So even though they might be doing things slightly modified from the rest of the class, they're still working for you. And at the end of the day, they're getting their education, and that's what really matters.
Okay, so you make some exceptions for the kids that need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of our kids...
It's the whole concept of equity versus equality. And I explain that to them, too, because I have other kids who will talk to me and say, oh, well, Miss, why did you let him do that? And I don't get to do that. And I said, well, it's what they need versus what they want.
Yeah, because you don't need the same thing. It's just like your children.
Yeah.
Your children have different needs. And you're going to meet their needs. I can tell you just with my experience, that tough kid, the first thing they're looking for is to see if you're genuine.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out, first they're trying to figure out what kind of structure you got in your classroom. Because if you don't have structure in your classroom, they're going to run over your classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know we kind of mix in the classroom expectation and structure with building relationships. But they really go hand in hand. Because if you have relationships with a kid, they'll do anything you want.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because when I was at Jennings, I was that teacher that kids would come that other teachers say, hey, Mr. Bates, I'm having this problem. And I can just stick my head in the door and say, hey, man, come here.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you real fast because I built that rapport with that kid.
Yeah, rapport is everything, and that's one of the things that I like to pride myself on. I feel like I'm very strong in that area because I talk to the kids and I get to know them, and I let them know that, you know, I'll fight for you, but you got to earn it. So they know that I'm here for them and that I show them the grace when they need it because they're going to mess up, they're going to make mistakes. I teach senior English. Seniors make mistakes. They get that senioritis around this time of year, actually, and we're having those tough conversations. And they know that I'm going to fight for them, but they need to work for it.
Right, and I know in high school it can be harder to do that because we look at these kids, but they appear to be adults.
Right.
But they're not.
They like to act like they're all grown up.
They like to act like they're grown because they use
go.
profanity. They may try to dress a certain way, and some may even be disrespectful. So it makes it harder for some to still keep in mind that these are still children.
Yeah. And
they're still growing, and we have to teach them the right way.
Yep. And they're going to make mistakes, and you have to let them know that mistakes are just a part of the learning process, and it's part of growing up, and we have to show them grace. I am a big proponent on showing grace, and it's not because I'm a pushover. It's not because I'm easy. It's not because I'm giving you multiple chances. It's because I'm trying to work with you, and at the end of the day, if you're learning, whether you passed it in a day late or whether it took us 3 chances to get there, the growth is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, I can tell you I've been very impressed when I come in your classroom.
Thank you.
Your students, they respond to you. And if your students are responding to you, 1, you definitely have a relationship with your students, and 2, you can help them grow. Because we want our students to be great.
Yeah, I tell them all the time. I said, you guys are all capable of great things, and you just need to show me what you can do. That's it.
Okay, cool. Any last thoughts? Any encouraging words for any teachers who may have issues with or have the need for improvement to build relationships?
I would say if you're struggling with these kids and you're struggling to get to know your students, try to take some time out of. I know it's very stressful when you're trying to make sure that you're at the correct pacing and that you're getting all the lessons in and you're doing everything you're supposed to do. I know our jobs are tough, but if you can take just a few minutes of each week even to pull a kid aside and just talk to them, just get to know them. Don't put any expectations on the conversation and just work on building those relationships. It'll go a long way.
Good. Again, it's like my last one. I know I brought home for a reason. Gave us some great valuable input. I hope you guys are taking the time to watch these videos because we're going to keep them coming. And again, if you have a strength or something you would like to share with the school, email me or you see me, or when I come in your room, just let me know, and you'll be my next guest. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
For stopping by during your planning.
Of course.
All right, and that'll be it. See y'all later.